Man, what an honor. It is thrilling to be here, see my friends, teammates, being on these grounds again. This was a special place for me. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for selecting me to the 2018 class. It's a select group of individuals, and this is a heck of an honor, and I'll always cherish it. So I appreciate it. A funny story. A while back, my wife called me and she said, do you know a Jay Roth? I said, yeah. She said, well, Jay left a message, you need to call him, and he left a number. I said, oh, okay. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm in the car business. I've been doing it for 35 years. I ran my wife's family's operation in Baton Rouge. I had my own store. And so, when you get a call from somebody, you're thinking, well, they might want a hole-in-one sponsor. They might want a donation. They're looking for something. And I said, and then every once in a while, they do want a car. So I said, man, I hadn't talked to Jay in a while. I give him a shout. So I'm pulling into my drive, and I get him on the phone, and we start all the small talk and everything. And he says, let me tell you the purpose of my call. And I'm only going to say Hall of Fame once, because I'm going to get too emotional. But he said, you've been inducted to the 2018 class. And I went, wow. It was really big for me. In the back of my mind, I always hoped, but, it wasn't really there. But when he gave me the news, I was taken back. I was shocked. It's a phone call I won't forget. So, thanks, Jay. My mom couldn't be here tonight, and it's a shame she's under the weather. And I just want to say, on her behalf, thank her for everything she did, my dad did. They gave me a choice of where I wanted to go when I was entering my freshman year. And I always knew I wanted to be a Raider. It's a special place, and it was a special 4 years. So I want to thank her and allowing me to have that opportunity. So I'd like to just acknowledge some of my family members and friends who are here tonight. My wife, she came in from Baton Rouge. I don't think they're here, but my son Zach's here, and his beautiful girlfriend Haley's here. My wonderful sister, who probably saw way too many games in her lifetime, but she was always a big supporter. She's here, so thanks guys for showing up. And I got a special friend in the back who's like a brother to me, and he's always been there for me, Warren Tremay. So thanks for showing up. Thanks for sharing this opportunity and this great event with me. Look, it's been a long time since I've been here, but I want to reflect on the faculty and staff. Brother John was a special individual, and the faculty that was collected here, the staff that were here, they always wanted you to succeed. They had a commitment to make it easy for you to succeed. You could always speak to the faculty. You could always speak to a teacher. It wasn't very hard to reach out for help if you needed it. And it's always one thing, some of the things I'll always remember about my experience here. This was one big clique. This wasn't an assortment of this, that, and everything else. They were here to do a job, and that was to make us the best we could be. So on behalf of those folks that were there at the time, I'd just like to thank them. And Mr. Authors has taken more pictures than my mom, and you can take another one if you want. Thanks a lot, Mr. Authors. We'll see you at the next golf tournament, right? I'd like to acknowledge my coaches while I was here. Coach Bobby Whitman, and where's Coach Robards? Hey, Coach. These guys were a class act, and they had my utmost respect. When you look at 4 years of high school and 4 years of basketball, it's kind of a blur. And I'm going through my yearbook, and I'm looking at donkey basketball in the gym, and I'm looking at tug of rope wars. I'm looking at boxing, and the boxing was one guy didn't like the other. So we set up a ring, and they paid tickets to go see it. It was unique back then. But I look back on my experience at Rummel and talking about the coaches. I tried to look at things that were significant to me, and yeah, there were a number of wins, and we were pretty good and all that, but three things stuck out. We'd have a big win on a Friday night, and Coach would call an early practice on Sunday morning or Saturday morning. And there was a drill that we did. It was one-on-one, full court. Defense versus offense. Make the man move. Make the man move. And you know, I'm 58 years old, and I was 17 at the time, and I hated the drill. But what the drill did is the drill exposed you. It showed you where you were weak, if you were. It showed you where you had to get better. And you know, I look back on all these little things that, as a young man, you couldn't appreciate, but as I grow older, I certainly see the value in it. And so that was one. Hated that drill, but I got pretty good at it. I know Wade, he'd always try to go find Milton or Schick to go one-on-one with, because you always wanted the biggest, slowest guy to do this with. So, Coach got wise real quick, and he made him, you know, go against the quicker guy. But he always did it to make you better. The other thing was the, let's see, flipping through here. The other thing was the state championship game. You know, in the state championship game, I remember before the game, you know, I remember the time we practiced and prepared for the game. You remember the game, you remember the win, you remember, you know, that kind of rush. But I remember the party afterwards. And the party afterwards was epic. But if these guys remember, in '77, we didn't have a party. Because Coach Robarts put a lid on it and said we still have work to do. So we came back and repeated the next year, and we got it all done. The third thing that really sticks out in my mind is when you look back on 4 years of basketball and what you did, what you accomplished, the De La Salle win always stands out in my mind. It was one of those come from behind wins that we did. We all gritted it. We dug it out. We won. And I'll never forget being in the De La Salle locker room. Hell, they put their band in the stand so our fans couldn't get in. You know, what Jay was saying was true. They tried everything they could just to block us out. We come back, we win. I'm in the locker room, fans are streaming in, and I had to take my shoes off because my feet were burning. Those last 3 minutes of that game was something that always will stay in my mind, because we weren't going to allow ourselves to lose. We were better than that. So it was always something that I thought about. But getting back to Coach Robarts, Coach Whitman, they played a big part in all this, particularly Coach Robarts. When I sit back and I look at my accomplishments as a grown man, as a father, as a husband, I see it started right there. This cultivating what I was to become was starting there. The idea of hard work scares people today. The idea of competition, people don't like to hear it. Everybody should get a trophy. Everybody should be fair. All that stuff. He was fair. He was hard. He was tough. But there was a purpose, and the reason he was like that is because he knew what we were made of. He knew where we would go. He knew what we were capable of doing. To compete every day, to have the tenacity to get out there and do it, to have the hard work, to have the confidence, and the word that was always used around here, pride. To have the pride to do what you do and set out to do. It sticks in my mind. When I have difficult situations or things I have to overcome, hey, look, I got a memory bank full of that stuff I can pull from and see myself through. So, Coach, I appreciate everything you've done for me. I really do. You've had a big hand in making me a success today and who I am, so I do appreciate it. You and Coach Whitman, thanks guys. I got some teammates in here tonight. Donnie Snyder, number 32, right?
32.
Number 32. 32 was tough. 32 was a senior when I was a junior, and I don't know, he played at a different speed. He's always amped up. Always playing hard, playing through the whistle, never stopped when the whistle blew, you know, fouling you, taking the ball away. I mean, he was tough. But he set the speed for our team. We had to play after the whistle. We had to do certain things like that. because Donnie was doing it. And so he was tough. He taught me a lot. I appreciate all the hard work, and I appreciate being, you know, a teammate of yours. I thank you, brother. Bubba Dwalron's in here as well. I hadn't seen Bubba in a number of years, but Bubba, again, was one of my favorite teammates, and we had a lot of fun together, and it was a great journey for the 4 years. So, Bubba, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. I haven't mentioned these next guys because they're very special to me. I've known them for 44 years. They're some of my closest and dearest friends. And I'm gonna finish this up, but I'd like to introduce number 10, Barry Baracco, number 35, Jimmy Pittman, and number 24, Wade Blundell. Greatest teammates a guy could have, and the best friends a guy could have. I love you guys. Thank you.